first, I want to address something in the midst of this Israeli-Palestinian conflict here. A lot of people get very angry if Israel's criticized. And so now there's a good question in the American media, which is kind of a funny question. Mm-hmm. Is it acceptable to criticize Israel? Okay. I mean, it's not funny, but to most people, not only is it not funny, it's not okay. It's not acceptable. I mean, go ahead. You find anyone on American television doing this. They won't, right? Now, the obvious answer is, of course, it's perfectly acceptable to criticize the government of Israel. For example, here on the Young Turks, we criticize the governments of almost every country on earth. Most often, the United States of America. Doesn't mean we don't love America. We love America. I'm very hokey in how patriotic I am about America. Oftentimes I get accused by the international audience of being jingoistic towards America in some respects. That doesn't mean that America's right about everything. It doesn't mean that we should kill civilians with our drone strikes when we don't even know who we're bombing. So if I criticize my own government for killing civilians with bombing that we shouldn't be doing, why couldn't I criticize the Israeli government for doing bombing that kills civilians? Of course I can. Of course I will, right? I criticize the Russian government. I've criticized the Ukrainian government, the Egyptian government, the Saudi government, the Turkish government. I mean, the Chinese government. I'm not sure you can name a government. You know, actually, the lovely state of Uruguay has been totally fine. I like them. I haven't seen anything to criticize yet. Okay, so of course you can criticize Israel. Now, but this is very, very important, though. Understand why people are touchy about that, because they're not crazy. So obviously Israel is a Jewish state, and there's been an enormous history of discrimination against Jews throughout the whole world. Right. So I get why they're touchy. I get why a natural reflex is, you're criticizing us, you must hate us, because that's what's happened for thousands of years. So it's not like it's a crazy idea, but so understand that, acknowledge that, and that's the context in which people are touchy. And so I don't mind them being touchy like that. I get it. I understand it. Now, also to the Israeli side, the Israeli supporters, you've got to get to the third point of this, which is that it's not 1935, nor is it 1835 or 1735. Right now, you are the strong ones. And if you say that you're not, you're living in a ridiculous fantasy world. Israel could beat all the Arab states near it combined with one hand tied behind its back. In fact, it's done that several times already and only gotten stronger since then. And it has the might of the greatest military built by man behind it. You think that if somehow in a war with Arabs or Persians or someone, the Martians, that Haifa fell and they're marching on Tel Aviv, that A, Israel, which has nuclear weapons, isn't going to nuke everyone in the vicinity to protect itself? Do you think B, that the United States of America will not back it with 100% of its military might, including nuking everyone in the vicinity? You're insane if you think that. You don't believe that. Of course Israel is stronger than its neighbors. So the idea like, oh, poor us, woe is us. I get why you're touchy about it, but you got to adjust to the reality on the ground right now, which is that you are the strong and mighty force. And with that comes some responsibility. Like we asked the American government, hey, let's be responsible in how we use our might. Don't go into Iraq when it didn't attack you. Don't occupy Iraq. Stop occupying Afghanistan. It's perfectly fair to ask Israel, which has been occupying Palestine and is far, almost infinitely stronger than Palestine right now, to stop occupying it and understand that that's part of the core problem in the first place that's causing the conflict, as our invasions in the Middle East cause conflict there.
Yeah, I think it really, boils down to what you think. What is the philosophical point of journalism and media in the country, right? And there shouldn't be a double standard between Israel and the rest of the world. If these types of acts were committed by any other country, there would definitely be some sort of condemnation based on what they're doing, right? But when it comes to Israel, people are afraid, and that fear shouldn't exist, right? That paranoia by, Jewish individuals and Israel shouldn't exist. People should be open to other forms of solutions, and people should be open to the criticism, because that's the only way you can have an honest dialogue, and that's the only way you can come up with a genuine two-state solution. There's a reason why this news story gets recycled in the press over and over again. Last time it was in 2012. Now we're talking about it again in 2014. If there isn't a change in the way we're handling the situation, this is going to come up again either in the next year or the next 2 years. So the question is, Are we willing to have an open and honest dialogue about it? And unfortunately, based on a lot of criticism that public figures have faced because of their criticism of Israel, it doesn't seem like that's likely to happen.
So both sides have to de-escalate the rhetoric in terms of, if you criticize Israel, you're by definition anti-Semitic, which is insanity.
I think that's such an irresponsible thing to say.
It doesn't do anybody any favors to do that, and it causes an overreaction by the other side. It's such a bad idea to do that. I mean, it reminds me of Fox News when the Iraq War started, to say that anybody who criticized the Iraq War is un-American and unpatriotic. And look at the damage that did to America. Don't go down that road. On the other hand, of course, the other side sometimes does go into anti-Semitism. Oh, the Jews and the this and the that. And I don't want to get into all the things that they say. Well, that doesn't help your cause either. Then that has Israelis justifiably go, see, they are anti-Semitic. They are going to hate me no matter what. I better protect myself and not trust these guys to do a peace deal. So you've got to tone down the rhetoric on both sides so we can actually get to peace. It's amazing that we live in a world where that opinion now is not only controversial, but it's so controversial you'll almost hear no one on American television say it. I mean, you'll see people say, yeah, peace, two-state solution. But in terms of saying, well, look, Israel is also wrong, right? And these are the things the Israeli government is doing wrong and needs to fix. Good luck trying to find it on TV.